So are you ready to PR yourself? We'll remove the mystery from all things PR, and we'll discuss everything from our top strategies to tips and tricks and everything that you can utilize to further enhance your brand or your message. I've been in media, I'm a journalist, and I'm also a publicist. I am Leah Frazier, CEO of Think3 Media, and your host for PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. Let's go. And welcome back to another episode of PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. I am your host, Leah Frazier, and I'm so glad you're back for another episode. And I must say that this episode is very near and dear and special to my heart because it features one of my friends here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Dallas musician Larry G. But before we get to all things Larry, just filling you guys in on some updates. I am in preparations to head to London. I will be going there to see the Cowboy Carter show. And for anybody that's asking me, well, why didn't you just go in Texas? Well, Beyonce didn't really offer as many U.S. cities or locations for this tour. And I just wasn't in the mood to compete with everybody trying to go see her in her hometown of Houston. It just wasn't going to happen. So when I got my pre-sale code, I had already made my mind up. I was like, what if I just go see her in a city that I've never been before? And London is one of those places that I've never been. And so I was able to book my ticket. I'm in the pit. It'll be my first time. Haven't missed a Beyonce concert ever. And so this will be my first time though, seeing her in the pit. So I am excited, but I'm also nervous because I want to make sure that I have the proper shoes and the proper boots. I don't want my feet to hurt. So I have like all of these fears, but I just know it's going to be okay. So I'm headed to London. I leave here in 6 days to go to the Cowboy Carter concert, and I am ecstatic. I'm so excited because I'm working with a local designer here in Dallas. His name is Vinny Etienne, and his brand is Lavinity. And so we've been working with one another for the last couple of months to come up with just the perfect, unique Cowboy Carter outfit. So that has been a blast working with him. I'm taller. I always like to call myself an Amazon. I'm thick. I've got curves. And so it's been fun to see his interpretation of not only what would embody the spirit of Beyonce's country album, but also in a way that would make me feel comfortable, beautiful. And so it's been awesome working with him. I did my last fitting for my top today, and then we're working on the bottom, and then I'll have it all in a couple days ready to pack up and take overseas. So super duper excited. But anyways, moving right along, we've recorded some great episodes coming down the pipeline for you guys. We just did a live stream on a lot of my platforms on influencer marketing. And so you're going to want to keep your eye out for that. But ironically, today's episode, I don't even know how we got here. I don't even know how we rolled into this topic. But the more I think about it, we're exploring the topic of health today. And really how PRing yourself is really being the absolute best version of yourself and really bringing your best self to the table. And one of the first places to do that is with your health. And I'll be honest, it's so funny just how everything just kind of comes together, because recently I've been way more intentional about cooking. I subscribe to HelloFresh. So even in my HelloFresh boxes, I've switched them up a little bit to have more fish, more vegetables. Just being more intentional to take walks, or if I haven't had any movement for the day, if I have a call that I can go outside and take the call from outside, I'll be walking on the call or the conference call as it's going on to make sure that I get my at least 30 minutes of movement in, and so it's just been, it's been a journey. And for the last couple of months, or I would say actually the last 30 days, I've given up red meat and pork. It has been, when I tell you, because I love bacon. So it's been hard. Now, I will say, because I do represent a steakhouse in PR, Every now and again, if I have to go up there, I will get the ribeye, but it's not to the consumption level of as how it was before. So I've wiped out red meat. I wasn't really a chicken person, so that wasn't too hard for me to, abstain from. The pork was hard because I love bacon, but I haven't had pork. And now I'm migrating more into being more intentional about eating my vegetables, but more so just being more intentional about having fresh vegetables. So like I'll normally saute spinach or I'll roast broccoli. And so I'm trying to consume them in more of a raw fashion. And I know you're probably like, well, why would you want to do that? Intuitively, something just told me, and I'm not even kidding you. One day I was just sitting and it just came to me, you need to go to the store and get spinach, and don't cook the spinach. Try to get all the nutrients you can out of it and make a salad out of it, or, put it in the juicer and put it into your shake. And I drink beet juice every day, or at least I try to, for my blood pressure. And so even if it's combining the beets, and I do like this carrot mix and all this other stuff, and throwing the spinach in there, do that. Today I was snacking on carrots as I was working. And so just having fresh, raw vegetables. And like I said, it just came in my spirit, because trust me when I say I'm a flaming hot Cheeto girl. So if I'm sitting and chilling, like that's what I want. And it just came into my spirit that like I really needed to eat fresh, raw vegetables. And so then as I'm on this journey, I happened upon this company, Balance of Nature, and they have supplements. And again, everything was just kind of happening in line as I decided to take my health a little bit more seriously, making sure that my blood pressure is good, lowering my sodium. And again, my body was communicating to me that I needed to have more fresh vegetables. And so coming into contact with Balance of Nature is supplements, and there's 2 bottles. So one is your fruits and one is your veggies. So I thought that was really cool. And they're always together. And then, so now I've added into my routine, when I wake up in the morning, I'll take my fruit supplements and I will take my veggie supplements, in addition to, there's other things that I take like potassium and iron, and I have my blood pressure medication and all, and all of that. But with these Balance of Nature supplements, what I love is, in addition to me cooking my meals and making sure I have fresh vegetables, with my meals, these supplements also give me a variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables. So now, in addition to what I was already doing, I'm getting 31 different fruits and vegetables. And so now in my mind, it's like, you know what? I really am doing the best that I can to make sure that I'm getting all of the nutrients that I can, and really just trying to improve my overall quality of life. So I'm really excited. I feel great. I have a little bit more energy, and, I'm just really trying to take charge of my nutrition. And so I'm glad that I'm getting the nourishment that I need. And so I'm so excited that we're discussing health. And like I said, I had already been on this journey, and then I thought of Larry, who we'll hear from later, because Larry is overcoming stage 5 kidney disease. And it just gut punched me last year when I found out that he had it. I had no idea. I hadn't seen him in a while, and we saw each other at a friend's album release party, and he told me, and it just really it hit me in my soul, because this was somebody that I care about. This is somebody that I supported his music here locally in Dallas, and we're right around the same age. And so when I think about us taking care of ourselves and our health, and Larry will talk about what he's had to do and the journey that he's been on, but I'm like, how are we talking about PR in a business and where we want our brands and our businesses to be if we don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow? Or if we don't know if we're going to be in the hospital or the ER. I got an email from a colleague today saying that the reason that we hadn't heard from her in 3 or 4 days was because she's been in the hospital with something life-threatening, and that took me aback. And so we really need to take charge of our health. And really, Larry's episode, we talk a lot about the health, but we also talk about how his health scare helped him to pivot and really staying true and authentic to his brand. Before he found out he had kidney disease, he was kind of allowing other people to puppeteer his destiny, allowing them to tell him how he was talented, allowing them or the others to tell him what he should release as a musician, to craft his artistry, when maybe deep down he knew what direction he needed to go. He just didn't have the confidence to go with that. And so once he was going through his health struggle, he really was like, you know what? There's no better time than now than to do what it is that I really, really want to do, because what do I have to lose? And so that's what this episode is about, is you sitting down and, yes, evaluating your health. Are you doing the absolute best that you can do to make sure you can be here for your business tomorrow? But in that same vein, are you truly doing your calling? Are you truly maneuvering and moving in a way that's genuine and authentic to you? If something were to happen to you, can you honestly say that this is what I wanted to build? This is who I wanted to serve. I did what was in my heart. And so that's the map for our PR Yourself episode today. Again, very inspirational for me to have had this interview with Larry. We did it at Cosign Studios. So thank you so much, KG. If you guys actually want to watch the visual version, you can go to my YouTube page, Leah Frazier, and it should be one of the first videos to pop up with Larry G in it if you want to watch it online. But I want to thank you all for tuning in. And again, if you want to take charge of your health, I really highly recommend Balance of Nature supplements. If you want to go to the show notes, I'll have a special code for you to try it out. Again, 31 different kinds of fruits and vegetables. It has, been amazing to be able to add this in addition to what I was already doing to take charge of my health. So go to the show notes. I have something there special for you. Click on that link, try it out. Let me know what you think. And just sit back. You're going to want to listen to this one. It's a great episode, and we'll return right back here after the break.
This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
All right, and welcome back to another episode of PR Yourself with Leah Frazier. I am your host, Leah Frazier, and I have a very special guest with me today. My dear friend, we're going to call you by your stage name because I like branding.
Yes.
Larry G. G-E-E.
Yes. All right. Yeah, we'll keep it like that today.
And I'm so excited that you're here joining me, Larry.
Yes. Straight from the hospital.
Straight from, show them yours. Look,
I was about to take these off, and she was like, "No, this is
it's an accessory.
This is an accessory." So yeah, I got this. I got my little thing that they put for the shot today. So yeah, we here,
but we doing it.
Yes, we are.
I'm just so excited to see you, Larry. And
so
it's been too long.
Yes, it has. This is like a good catch up in the sense because we haven't sat down and talked in a minute. So,
in a minute. But we're going to catch everybody up on you.
Yeah.
But before we do, for those that don't know who you are, just give us a little debrief as to who Larry is.
Well, my name, obviously, Larry G. I'm a singer-songwriter based in Dallas, Texas. Been doing music for a while now. Took a little break. Went through some health issues, but along the way found that music again and it brought me back, and here I am today on your show.
When did you, because I've always been curious about this. I met you probably 2012-ish.
Yeah.
So you had already been on the music scene.
Yeah.
So take me back into actually getting into the music industry. Like, how did that happen for you?
It really started, I used to work at a clothing store in the West Village back when it was popping.
With Patrick.
With Patrick Ware.
Hi, Patrick.
Shout out to Patrick. It was called Octane at the time. And one of Patrick's friends is, her name is Mandy Cornett, and she's Selena Gomez's mom. So I used to just do like busking in the West Village with a guitar. I was like sit up by that gelato spot back in the day over there. I think it's still there, but I don't know. So I would play there. I'd play at the store. She found me and really kind of introduced me like to music. And it was through that. Then I had then formed a band called Otis. We had a little minimal like run success with like some syndicated national radio stations, and went on a tour. Then we hit the proverbial wall that every band typically does. And right around,
what was the wall? Was it, I want to go solo after you reached success? Was it you?
There was no success.
You were the one
the wall
that broke up the band?
I'll tell you, it's coming. So the wall is when we were in Birmingham, Alabama, and we play at this venue and there's no one there. And it's just a bartender. And the first note we hit, the lights turn off, like the electricity. And it wasn't even raining. And we ended up having to pack our stuff and drive back to Atlanta, where we were staying at the time. It was one of the quietest rides, with me and like 4 of the other guys, and we're all just contemplating life. I think at that point we were like, this whole band thing is fun. It's like a party, but this is not getting us anywhere in our lives. And so that summer I went to New York to see my sister. She was living there at the time. And that's where the whole Larry G thing was like created. Cause I was like really influenced in the time by like, Amy Winehouse, and just those like kind of sounds, Sharon Jones and the Dap Kings, and New York itself, just like the sound of the city was like kind of like my inspiration. And I spent a lot of time during that summer in New York, and basically came back with the idea of what Larry G became.
So did Chester have something to do with that too? I thought I read somewhere that Chester kind of helped out with the name.
Yes, he did, because
Chester's Larry's brother.
That's my brother, Chester. Yeah, everyone thinks Chester is older than me too.
I did when I first met him. Sorry, Chester.
They think he's older, but he was like, if you're gonna go solo, you need to like come out with like a name that stands out. I was like, well, what about Larry G? He's like, no, not G, because there's already Kenny G. So we're going to go G-E-E, but we're going to use a parentheses with a lowercase g, and then parentheses, capital E, parentheses. So that was like how that whole branding thing was like started at first.
Come on, Chester, brand manager?
I know, Chester, brand manager now. Now he's working at a law firm. Go figure.
I mean, IP.
Exactly.
Is it IP that he's
doing? Stuff like, I think it's not IP, but I think he works with lawyers in creating like videos for them to use in the courtroom for their cases.
That's amazing. Still branding.
Yes.
Still branding.
Yes.
Dang,
yes.
That is crazy.
He's doing that. He's married now. He's just loving life.
Oh, I remember. So kind of fast forwarding.
Yeah.
Because when did you get back to Dallas from New York?
Right around 2010 is like when everything like really started.
Yeah. Because I remember getting the invite.
Yeah.
This had to have been 2012. Now my memory is so shaky.
Yeah.
From a mutual friend at the time.
Yeah.
And I forgot who I was covering for. And it was like, hey, can you come out? I think it was Kessler Park. Can you come out to Kessler and see this artist, Larry G? And mind you, I've never written on music or entertainment per se. I was a fashion writer.
Yeah.
Beauty, whatever, lifestyle. And it was like, he's super fashionable. And I'm like, he's performing. Like, what do I care?
Exactly.
And something stood out and it was like, let me just go. It may be fun to just kind of have that festival vibe, be out on the grass, whatever,
Yeah.
And I remember coming out there and you coming on stage, and I cannot remember what the first song was. I don't know if it was Yo Mama and like that soul kind of I was like,
yeah,
who is this Bruno Mars cat? Like,
I know.
it was a very like R&B soulful vibe. And I was like, okay, this guy is amazing.
Oh,
and it was like at that point where I was like, all of Dallas needs to know about Larry G. And I played the hell out of that CD.
You did. Yes.
CD, y'all.
Yes. CD. That tells you how long ago it was. I was also wearing suits back then.
Yes.
I remember that. It was like suit. And that was like right when Bruno like popped off too. So there were always like those comparisons. I remember them though saying, when I got on Kimmel and I read the comments, they were like, oh, it's Bruno's fat cousin. Like they had
You weren't even fat at the time.
Oh no, I was. But they were roasting me so hard. And that's because, we had everyone wearing suits and everything like that. But I remember that, like, as far as like the swag and what we would wear and stuff back in the day. And now here I am like in a jumper.
And it's always the people who will never make it to Kimmel that's got something to say, right?
Yeah.
But
I
then,
don't care. It's just like dirt off the shoulders.
Yeah, I remember being so proud when you got that gig. And then there was other things like when we were in Deep Ellum filming that music video.
Yes.
And I styled
Days Like This. You styled that music video.
And
yeah, that's right.
It was several days in that very
Chip
cold
Tompkins. Cold.
Wet warehouse in Deep Ellum.
Yes.
And but that ended up being yet another amazing project.
So
Days
fun.
Like This was a good song.
Thank you.
It was a good song.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I think there I met personally a lot of folks that you still sing with and perform with today. Bo, gosh, who else? Becky, I love Becky so much.
Yeah, Daniel Hardaway, so many like people back then. A lot of them.
I was just starting out. I just remember with my little,
but you know what,
wardrobe racks and being excited to style
everyone there was also starting out too. And now everyone in that whole thing, it was almost like a high school kind of thing because everyone from that time has like really graduated onto like other things right now. They're like working with like major artists. They're touring the country. And I'm always happy for watching all my friends' successes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember there's so many memories and it's funny because like I'm remembering them now.
Yeah.
Like as we're just talking.
The three girls, remember them? Yeah. You worked with them.
I
specific Taylor, Hannah, and Becky. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I had so much fun styling them.
Hannah's a mom now. Taylor's touring the country.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Becky, she still rocks with me. Yeah. Lady B.
Lady B. Mm-hmm. And then even not too shortly after that, I remember going out to Fort Worth at Panther Island and it was you and Leon Bridges.
Yes.
And so I'm just like, I think about all these things. And
I remember that because he was backstage while we were performing. He's like, bro, get on the mic and like sing something. And he was like, really not shy, but not shy. He got up there, the band performed and he did his thing, but no one knew what he was about to do.
No one knew that Leon was about. We didn't. I think we got there a little late. I'm not even gonna lie to you. We got there like maybe it was like the last little bit of Leon's song.
Yeah.
And then you came on and it was this weird setup. Like Panther Island is like we were on like the grass
stage, and then there was
water,
like water
and then stage.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to get close to the artist, you had to go out on like a canoe or something. Yeah. And I'm Black. We wasn't doing that at night. I mean, I may kayak on vacation, but I wasn't kayaking to get a little close to you. I can hear you on land.
They do that every year though. But that was a moment. I remember seeing.
It was July 4th because I remember I had like a flag bikini on or something, and we brought out a celebrity chef. I forgot what her name was, and
that was a while back.
Yeah, it was fun. Yes. It was fun, but to my point that you've been in this a while.
Yeah.
You have been in, just like I tell folks all the time, Dallas has incredible artists. It's a small city. Most of you guys know each other. You play with each other, performed with each other.
Yeah.
And then that's when I knew. And then when Leon blew up, like right after that,
yeah,
it was just like, this is crazy. I just saw him at Panther Island Pavilion in Fort Worth.
Right.
It's
Nobody knew. And it just goes to show you like how quick like the world moves sometimes.
Yeah.
Blink of an eye, something happens, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's kind of fast forward past that first EP you had was Weekends.
Yeah.
And like I said, very R&B, soulful.
Yeah.
We won't say Bruno Mars, but very soul album.
Some
and
hints of it. Yeah.
Hints of it.
Yeah.
And then I personally feel, may not be anybody else, that you kind of changed your style.
I did.
A little bit.
I did.
And it was kind of like, where is Larry G going as an artist?
Right.
So what happened?
I think what happens is you get to this point, and what happened was really we had that success from Kimmel, and the next thing I knew is I was being flown out to like LA to like work with like these hit producers, and nothing was sticking. Like we did the showcasing, we showcased for some labels in New York, we showcased for some in LA, and it really just fell on deaf ears. And I remember my managers saying like, they love like the stage and the sound of the band. They just don't hear the hit. Like they can't hear the hit. And so they were like, you need to go work with new people, get to the drawing board. So I like was working without the people that had got me to where I've been.
Oh, let's stop there. What was that? First off, how hard was that?
Can be uncomfortable. You know, it was hard. And I feel like a lot of that, I wouldn't say like, there was probably some subconscious division that could cause between people. There were a lot of relationships that might have been affected by that. But I don't know. Like, I feel like I ended up, it was like I kind of started listening to everyone else instead of listening to myself. And in doing that, I got lost and it was like throwing rice at the wall. I was just trying to see what would stick. Or, you know, then after that, listening to other people, I had this project that I did during COVID called Cabas. And it was because I was told by some of the guys that worked on the project that if I were to work with them under a different name and basically do the songs that they wrote, that they would get me a deal. And so me being like, I have nothing to lose, I was like, I'll do it. So I
remember when you did that.
Yeah.
And in my head, I was like, what is Larry doing? I'm your friend, so I can tell you.
No, but you know what? I appreciate that. And
because I felt like it just kind of came out of nowhere. You know how some artists, if they're going to shift, you kind of notice like, oh, like we're going to take the love of my life. Beyonce, for an example.
Yeah.
Like she'll throw little hints where, you know, like she's moving this direction or that direction.
I just threw
like,
it out there.
Yeah, you just hit us out of left field and we're like,
what is this?
But I know he's great. So maybe we'll try it out. But what the hell is this?
No, it honestly, like I said, it was a COVID project.
We're going to blame it on the vid.
We're going to leave it on COVID. I mean, it was fun for what it was, but it wasn't me.
What was the sound? Because I can't remember.
It was more like an alternative pop kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really alternative pop. And there was a look too that they wanted to give me.
I remember.
Me. Yeah.
I was like, is he okay?
They gave me some crazy stuff to like look and wear. But I mean, I think, you know, I had that period.
You know, all of your black aunties is like,
they were mad.
We need to lay eyes on this baby because is he going through something?
People were worried. And I can't even listen to that stuff nowadays. Like I can't bring myself to. We'll get into it in the story as to why, but I think people have to go through those things, you know? Like,
so let's just dive in. What the hell were you going through? Because all that, again, as an outsider, it was just like, man, this is such a like dynamic shift from what you were singing and doing earlier.
Well, one, I think with COVID, you had so much space in between with everything going on. And then two, like I said, I was at a point where I had nothing to lose, you know, like the Larry G thing was on a break. Basically, nothing really happened there. And then this project here came to me with this guy that said, I can gift wrap you. Like, if you let me work with you, I'll get you the deal. Like, I will to get you to the labels. And none of that happened.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And then we can continue on that project.
Yeah.
Do you find yourself a little jaded from all of these experiences of people telling you to do this, do that, and I'll get you there? Because I feel like this is a common story.
Oh, yeah.
And a common thread with musicians.
Yes. I think like 100%. Like, I did get lost in the sauce. I think like during the Larry G time too, everyone like going on Kimmel and then starting to like do the showcasing in places like New York and LA, you start listening to everyone that's in your ear, you know, even the people that you're rocking with, you know, telling me like your life is about to change, you know, this and that. And you start believing everything. I think like around that time, I really kind of like lost my hustle of like what got me there, you know, because what got me there was just me like organically like creating like what Larry G became. Like, I was writing those songs at a clothing store that I worked at, like went off hours because I had a computer that I could use and I was on GarageBand, you know, and that's like kind of like where it all stemmed from. And then Bo and I like had our dynamic of working together, but it was, yeah, people get, it's really, I think now being older, and I listen to myself a lot more than I did back then. Cause I was really, I think that time in my life, I was more so consumed with fame and what it could bring me, as opposed to now where I'm at in this space right now, where it's like, I'm doing music because I love music and I'm doing the music that I love to do.
Yeah.
That's more of a representation of me.
I will say there can be a tinge of like gratefulness with that too, because at least back then social media wasn't as crazy as it is now with comparison, mental health.
Yeah.
Just how toxic it can get. And so imagine getting lost in the sauce like several artists or young children are today with social media. Yeah.
You know what I always tell young artists that come to me for advice is I'm always telling them, like, keep your blinders on and focus on your journey. Like, your journey is yours. Just because your so-and-so is your friend or whatever is like popping off doesn't mean that, you know, that you're not, you can't measure your success by your peers. Your success is what you make of it and how you create it. And, you know, I'm victim to like looking at everyone else. Cause even around that time, social media was really starting to like build. So I definitely, you know, got caught up in maybe in my feelings. And when I saw things not happening for myself, but happening for other people, it definitely took a hit to the ego. But then also just, you can get depressed. And there was definitely a period where I was depressed, like just because nothing had happened. And then everyone that was with me along for that ride had kind of just like left, you know, and you find yourself really at the end of the day, kind of alone in a party, you know, where the streamers and stuff are on the floor. Everyone's gone and moved on to the next thing.
I just got like a vision of like an album cover.
Yeah, wow.
The streamers are there on the floor.
You're just left.
It's like Larry in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Let's not do that cover. That's sad. I'm just saying, if you did an album on the whole that period, that would be the album cover.
Right. Yeah. I think like what you're getting out from me here is, I think a lot of it. Definitely with some mental health stuff. And I definitely was depressed, you know, like I definitely thought and saw my career going definitely away than what actually happened. And so like, I think from that whole Cabas thing, that's kind of like part of like being lost, you know, and listening to anything or anyone that gives you the attention that you had before. And so you think that you can recreate some kind of magic because you know what they think, but that's without you actually going for who you are and your own identity and who you are as a person.
Yeah. So what was the switch for you? Like what created the light when there was so much darkness?
Well, in May of 2023, this is like I had gone on a break after Cabas and wasn't doing music for a second. I took a job working for a branding marketing agency at the time. And I'd just gotten some insurance and my eyes were bugging out. And so I was like, I need to go get my eyes checked and probably need glasses. So I went in for a routine eye exam and they took some x-rays, and during the x-rays, they saw some hemorrhaging in my eyes. And the optometrist was like, hey, we're going to stop this appointment. I need to check your blood pressure. So he checks my blood pressure and it's 177, like over 100. And so he's like, this appointment's over. We're sending you to urgent care. Yeah. So urgent care, I get there, it goes to 188 over like 110. And they're like, I can't do anything for you. You need to go to like Medical City. And so I remember going to Medical City. I got my girlfriend. I said, hey, I need you to go with me to the ER. And I can remember this like it was yesterday. We're walking in, the sun's like coming down. And I was like, don't even sweat it. I was like, they're going to give me some blood pressure medicine and we going to get some dinner after this. She's like,
it's always about food.
She was like, okay.
Look, probably some high sodium stuff you had.
Exactly. And so we get there and the doctor comes in. He's like, your blood pressure is 245 over 120. Oh my God. He's like, you're not leaving. So
that is beyond stroke.
That turned into 3 days,
heart attack,
2 nights at Medical City, MRI biopsy. And then it was revealed that I had IgA nephropathy, stage 4 kidney disease. Now stage 5 now, but at the time that's what it was. And my whole like life changed. And
can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Like not to interrupt you, but for it to get to stage 4, so you're telling me this entire time there was no symptoms where you didn't think anything?
Oh, there were definitely symptoms. Knowing what I know now, I was always chronic. I felt like I was just tired all the time. Mm-hmm. My eyesight started going bad. There were like moments where I'd come home from work and I would just think that I was tired. But really that was like one of the signs, you know, like I would have some pain, some sharp pains in like that lower backside where the kidneys are. So there were signs. And then like the Saturday before I got diagnosed, I remember walking from the bathroom to the kitchen and blacking out. Like this was like someone turned the lights off. And I attributed that to like either hungover or being tired. And so, I'm not proud to say this, but I never up to that point had ever done a yearly checkup. My dad is a physician, so I'd always go to him to like get checkups and stuff just to like, I got a question, help me with this. And he would always tell me your BP is high and high blood pressure runs in my family. And he goes, you need to go get this looked at. And I would always tell him, yeah, but I was always scared to go to the hospital because I was afraid they would say something like, you have cancer or something like that. And he always told me, he's like, you gotta do that. And I was like, yeah, I do it. And the doctor nephrologist that saw me that day was like, if you would have seen me 3 years ago, we wouldn't be at this stage that you're about to go into. Cause he was like, what's going to happen, because my kidney function was 10%. He goes, your kidneys are going to start failing you. You're going to go on dialysis and you're going to be on for like a long time because my blood type is O. And so I can donate to other people, but it takes specific O to donate me. But since there's so many people in need of kidney that are even O, the wait is typically between 3 to 5 years. And I hadn't even gotten listed at that point. So I knew like I had like a long road ahead of me, but the one thing that stuck out was the word dialysis. And I started like trying to learn like what dialysis was. I have friends who have relatives who are on dialysis, and I know like the benefits.
My dad was on dialysis like almost every day before he passed. Wow. And then my great grandmother,
Right.
when I was younger, I remember we had to take her to dialysis a couple of times a week. And so when I hear that word, it's just like,
I'm sorry.
it's, well, no, not from that perspective, but I just know how intensive it is, because it's
Yeah.
not like it's a part of your day. You have to do it.
Yeah.
And for some people, they have to go every single day just in order to function.
He told me, he's like, you would probably be, it'll be 3 days, and then it'll move up even more. You may be on dialysis like every week. And I was like, what does that look like? He's like, it's like 5 hours out of your day where you're connected to a machine, and you're basically, he said, but it's going to be good for you. It's going to extend your life. And in my mind, I'm like, no, I don't think so. Like, hold on just a second. So I had a friend, shout out Eric Payton from this company, wellness company called In Vivo. He was like, let's see what we can do to help you, and see if there are like any holistic, like ways that we can like figure out how to like keep your kidney function at a good space to where you don't need dialysis. And so he hooked me up with these people at the John McDougall. He's this guy based out in California, and they're all about plant-based eating. And so
now, when we say plant-based,
is
it like raw food diet, or do you get to have a little bit of the processed stuff?
It's raw food, but I was definitely eating processed. I can't, girl. I can't like do
look
all.
At me, always trying to find a shortcut.
No, I do find a shortcut, because I was also looking for stuff that if the sodium was low or no sodium, I'm still rocking with it. Like I could not just go raw all the way, but I did give up meat, which was really, really hard, because that is that's my jam. And then I had to give up drinking, which, being a musician and the lifestyle, that's what we like will thrive off of, that's
all of my
so
friends
much
lately
fun.
who are in the music industry have had to go get sober, and they are staying sober.
Yeah.
And when I get their stories, it's always because it's like, I'm out every night. Then you get there before the gig and you're drinking, then you play the gig, and then after the gig, and then it's like rinse and repeat. And before you know it, maybe I have a problem.
Yeah. And a lot of my friends, that are my age, like you start seeing people like struggling, and that's just because of the lifestyle that we were living.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, before I got diagnosed, it would take like 20 like tequila sodas for me to like feel anything, because I was drinking so much like on the regular. And then I was also, I have ADHD. So I was taking Adderall, but my morning would start with coffee, Adderall. Afternoon, it would be a Red Bull. Late afternoon would be another coffee. So I'm pounding all this stuff that's like really making the hypertension like increase.
Putting the hyper
yes,
in
and
hypertension.
Then I was also a processed food junkie. So fast food, I know all the fast food spots here in Dallas. I kid you not. I know where to go. But I the
times they close.
Yeah,
it was open 24 hours.
I know the 24 hours, but I would go literally sometimes go to one place for some fries and then go to another place for the burger. Like, just because, like,
I feel judged because I've done that too.
And then I'd go to like,
that's on some fat kid stuff.
I go to the Chinese restaurant and order
which you can't
the orange
have.
chicken.
That's the worst
I have
sodium.
2 orders of orange chicken for me, not for another person, but for me. And I was like doing this stuff by myself, just like living my life. And all these like habits start piling up. But anyways, all that being said, so I'm sick. I'm diagnosed with this stuff. And one of my doctors is like, you need to start walking, walk, And so what I would do is I would just take these walks, but I needed music, obviously. And I discovered some songs that I hadn't released ever. It was supposed to be the follow-up to Weekends. And I was like, why did these songs never get released? And it was right around that time I got a call from Bo out of the blue. He calls me out of the blue. He's on his way from like New York. And he's like, hey man, I'm just calling to check in on you. And I was like, this is weird because this just happened. He just called me so I took that time to like get his blessing to release the songs. And so basically when he said that, I was like, I'm basically going to release these songs as if they were brand new again. And so I basically got back on my hustle, got some radio play. Next thing you know, we're playing my first show at the Double Wide. And then we get asked to play South by Southwest at this party with Questlove. Yeah.
Wait a minute. What kind of friend are you? I didn't know about this.
Right. No, it was crazy. So Paul Eventino, he worked with Erykah Badu back in the day, and he hit me up and he was like, we can get you in as an official artist. Questlove, it's a party with Rolling Stone magazine and Potpourri. He's like,
oh my God, I know that show.
Yeah.
Because my previous editor went down there.
Yes.
And yeah,
the Funk Factory.
Yeah.
Yes. And so we were there, Janelle Monáe, and we played like a little thing, and all these little things started happening. And so that's why I was just like, yeah, so I don't know, like it didn't feel like, as opposed to the other times, nothing was forced. Everything was natural. I was back to performing like soul music, like my home. And
but how did you manage the old Larry? Did instances of that try to creep up with this new?
No,
because I mean,
it's crazy because like it was like basically muscle memory as far as like doing the songs and performing again. But as far as like
the habits,
the mindset was different because this time it wasn't about, yeah, I got to do this so I can get famous or I can get a deal.
Ego.
This was about, I just miss music. Like, and at the time, like I had this disease and I needed something to like either keep my mind off of it. And it happened to be music. And so that's why like, I feel like I'm in a different space now where I feel like I just didn't appreciate that time, even when the whole Kimmel and all that stuff happened. I'd never had a second to like stop and appreciate everything we'd accomplished or like appreciate the people that I was with at that time. And so doing this now, being older and wiser, I feel like, I'm soaking it all in, and I have more gratitude for just the opportunities that I'm getting, and also for the people that I'm working with. There's just so much love. So it definitely helped me get through like the grieving stage of like being diagnosed. And then, here we are, and I'm about to get a kidney transplant.
Yeah, I remember getting the news on that. That was very exciting.
Yeah.
And you've been doing some concerts here in Dallas, just fundraising, getting ready for everything. So
we'll be fundraising some more.
He's like, I had a friend. Give me your money.
I had a friend who shout out to my guy Ben Parker. He just got a kidney, and the day that I found out that I had been they had found a match for me, he got a call from the hospital saying they had a kidney for him. Oh. So his kidney was from a deceased person. So he's basically been like my guide in the sense of like, this is what you got to look out for. And one of the things he told me is like, man, they don't tell you this, but this thing is a big financial hit. So try to save or raise as much money as you can, because you're going to be out recovering for a while.
What's a while?
They say 12 to 15 weeks.
What's Larry gonna do? You're a busybody. So
well, the good thing is that, I still have my side hustle, which is like, I do social media and content creation for a lot of some artists here in town. And so like I basically put on my
photos that I helped to pub. Yeah. You're welcome, V. That's right.
So I'm just going to do work from home kind of stuff. And I'm basically trying to shoot and get as much content now. So that way, we'll be ready, while I'm in bed working.
So June 2nd is the big day.
June 2nd is the big day.
June 2nd is the big day. Yeah. And so how does that work? How long is the surgery? And then.
So the surgery takes place June 2nd. They say I got to get to the hospital at 5. It's about 3 to 5 hours is the surgery. And they say I'll be discharged in 3 days if everything works out. Mm-hmm. And then basically I'll be on medication, a cocktail of medications for the rest of my life. Yeah. It's from one journey to the next, but
Yeah.
this one's going to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it has not been easy, like going through this. You know, I have an amazing partner, my girlfriend, Kelly. She's basically my rock, been through a lot with me. And just as much as it's affected me, it's definitely affected her, you know. So having this moment where, you know, this thing can kind of be off of our backs is going to be great for us moving forward.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then even more exciting news, post-recovery.
Yes.
In August of this year, you'll be releasing your first ever vinyl.
Yes. So the album that
Dallas AF Records.
Through Dallas AF Records. Shout out Anton Schlesinger. The album that I released, the Get Back, those are those songs that I'd found on that Dropbox. They're going to package it all in a vinyl, Dallas AF Records. And
I saw the cover because I told him, I was like, I need to conceptualize this. Can you send me the photos and, photo credit, and he sent it. And I immediately wrote back and I was like, this looks awesome.
Oh, thank you so much.
It looks so good. I'm so excited.
You know, like if you really look at it, like, that's the reason why they wanted to keep it the way it was. We like totally no filters or anything or fixing, airbrushing is because they were like, it looks like you've been through a lot and this is what it's all about. It's about that journey of like being real, raw and authentic. And I went through something really intense, but now we're coming back on the other side and, now we start this new journey and we see what happens.
Well, I'm super excited for you. I think I kind of think about, because I wasn't aware of everything that you were going through. It's not like you just blasted all of it on social media.
Yeah.
And we were at Valenti's album release party last year.
Yes.
And we saw each other and you told me, and it literally just took the wind out of me because I didn't know.
Wow.
I had no idea. And then there's this part of me too on my journey is being better about checking on friends, or like if somebody enters your mind. That's why the other day I just randomly text you like, hey, I'm just checking on you. Are you okay? I
appreciated that.
Because all this time passes and we don't even realize how much time has passed.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, it feels like I just saw you yesterday. Mm-hmm. And then when I learned of the news, I'm like, we got to do better. And I'm the queen of people joke and say, are you even here? What country are you in right now? But even from another country or from wherever, just a simple, hey, are you good? Or even the visualization of the balloons popped on the floor and the streamers and sad little Larry in the middle. Like, Larry could have used a phone call or a text like, hey, are you okay? And I kind of felt a little guilty about that.
Oh,
I did, but it's okay. No. I feel like you had your lessons you've learned.
Yeah.
And in that moment last year when I saw you, it pushed me to, you got to be a better friend. No one's saying you're a bad person.
Right.
But you got to be a better friend, a better family member, a better partner. I'm sorry, babe, because I just be getting busy. And he's like,
baby, I got to be a better partner. You know this. I'm a terrible person. You know this on the regular. It's not about my kidney all the time. I love you.
See, like this is growth. We're growing right here at Cosign Studios.
Yeah.
But in that moment, like that was my lesson. And so with my platform, when given the opportunity, I was like, I have to cover Larry because I felt like I was there. And then to be here still along that journey, we have mutual friends.
Yeah.
We joke about this guy here. I have a lot of stories that I'm not going to tell.
Right.
But like I met him through you and now he's really one of my closest friends
he's
to this
a real
day.
One. He is a real one.
Valenti, shout out Valenti Funk. And I've met so many other people through you here in the Dallas music industry. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Look forward to hearing the good news. So when you get home, you got to make sure you hit me up.
Yes.
Or have Chester call.
Yeah,
Whatever.
no, I'll hit you up and definitely give you an update on how everything is going. It's definitely going to be a journey. I'm expecting it, but it's definitely going to be better than it was these last 2 years. So
Thank God.
this last 2 years was a test, but weirdly enough, like I became a better person through the whole process, and this whole disease thing I think was like meant to be. I think God kind of gives things to people that he knows that they can handle. And I think I definitely grew closer to him. That's true. I definitely wasn't living like the best life, but I feel a little bit more grounded in my relationship with him. And I'm ready for the next phase.
Yay.
Yeah.
And we are too. So for those who don't know how to find you, maybe they're tuning in from some other part of the world. Where do we find more on Larry G?
Just hit me up on Instagram, the Larry GEE Music. Yeah.
And I'm the Leah Frazier. Or
Okay.
you can I know.
Okay,
Great minds.
come through. Yes.
Or you can follow us, PR Yourself Podcast, or on all of your podcasting platforms. If you like this, please, you know what to do. Like, comment, share it with others. Follow Larry. And as I always say to end every episode, until next time.